Hello and welcome to this episode of Class is in Session. I'm your host, Ashley Stevens, and this show highlights the latest happenings inside HBCU classrooms. We shine a light on the business side of HBCU sports, public policy issues facing these historic institutions, and we also shine a spotlight on HBCU leaders, students, and alum who are making major moves in business, the arts, and in education. And I'm excited that today's featured guest is one of those spotlight special HBCU alum. Sharné C. Jackson is a dynamic marketing maven who is using her executive experience and platform to recruit a new generation of diverse leaders in the fragrance industry. As the first ever African-American executive director of the Fragrance Foundation, Sharné oversees education, special events, and give back for the fragrance industry's premier organization for advancing excellence, innovation, and diversity. The Spelman College Alumna is impacting HBCU students through #FragranceForwardTFF and the Sense of Success program to help address vast underrepresentation in the fragrance industry. Hello and welcome to Sharné Jackson.
Hi, Ashley. I'm so happy to be here with you today to talk about all the great work that we're doing here at the Fragrance Foundation with our #FragranceForwardTFF initiative.
I'm excited to have you because listen, I admit, and I see all the lovely fragrances behind you. I think that is so cool. Someone like me, and maybe folks in our audience who are watching too, may not even be as familiar with the ins and outs of the overall fragrance industry. We're like, oh, we know that smells good, but what actually went behind it, right? And the bigger merchandising, retailing, and innovation, excellence, and diversity portion that you also work with as well. So my question, just to kind of get us started, tell us a little bit about you. Where did you grow up, and tell us the value your family placed on higher education?
So I was born and bred in Miami, Florida. And a lot of times people are like, do people really grow up in Miami? My family has been in the Miami area since 1929. And education has been huge. I'm a third generation HBCU grad. My grandparents met at St. Augustine's College. My father went to FAMU. My mother is a graduate of Howard University.
Awesome. So third generation
Third
HBCU grad.
generation.
So it is proud and strong in your bloodline.
Yes, and it's very proud and strong. I think the reason I have a twin sister that also attended Spelman College. The reason we went to Spelman was because my grandmother went to graduate school at the Atlanta University Center in Education, and she was an English teacher. She would always talk about Spelman, and subsequently, when it was time for us to start going and looking at schools, my parents were like, pick an HBCU. You have to go to an HBCU because of that foundation that it gives you and the groundedness and the confidence level. And it was immediately Spelman. And it was one of the best life decisions I could have ever made.
I love to hear that. So basically, your parents said there are no options but Black colleges.
Exactly.
Got it. And so your
A
twin
lot of
sister also.
that, oh,
Mhm.
sorry about that. I think a lot of that came back, that happened because of how we grew up. We grew up during a time right after the civil rights. My parents were the first Black family in an all white neighborhood. And at that point, my parents were like, we really want you to build your confidence and be within the community. So that's why we
Love
decided
it.
to go.
Building your confidence and be within the community. What I found interesting, Sharné, is the majors, what you studied. Tell us what you studied at Spelman and why. Because I always like to encourage college students to know that sometimes what you major in may not end up being what you work in.
Exactly. So what I studied in Spelman, I had a liberal arts degree, and I took several classes. You take your English, and I fell in love with history as well as I took some Spanish courses. And I had the opportunity when I was at Spelman to study abroad in Madrid. So I lived with the family for about 8 months, and all the classes that I took were like art and history and language. And when I came back, I was like, oh, I'm not sure what I should declare as my major because I had so many credits in history and in Spanish. I was able to have both of those as my major.
Bueno, bueno, español era mi mejor segundo también.
Ah,
Y estudiaba en Salamanca
oh,
por un
wow.
verano. Sí, 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 sí. That's
Oh,
exciting. That's
very
so
interesting.
exciting.
And it's something that in terms of like being in a different culture, what it does for you. And then just having that experience, it's something that I take with me forever to have lived with the family and to really and delve into that culture.
It is. What a difference, like literally living in a different country and staying with the family, being immersed in the culture. What a difference that absolutely makes. I'm glad you got to have that experience, and that was also afforded to you through Spelman. Tell us how you got into marketing and then subsequently into the fragrance industry.
Sure. So I think again, like I love the title of this podcast because class is in session. When I graduated from Spelman, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure what I want to do. I have this degree. I don't know what I want to do. So I was an elementary school teacher for a year. And then while I was doing that, I'm a person that always likes to take various classes. I took some continuing education courses. I took courses in business and in marketing. And once I took that marketing class, I was hooked. I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I started applying for business schools. I ended up going to Clark Atlanta University, so brought me back to Atlanta. And ironically, I ended up being a dorm director at Spelman while I was in school. So I was right back in my freshman dorm, but this time I was the dorm director while I was going to school. So pretty an amazing journey.
Absolutely. So dorm director, all that experience kind of led into, you getting hooked in marketing and by taking a course. Tell us a little bit about, you had some very impactful initiatives while serving as director of Mid-Atlantic special events with Macy's. Tell us about some of those initiatives and how they benefited marginalized groups and charitable causes.
Sure. And then I'm just going to back up in terms of like before I even worked at Macy's, I moved to New York City, which I always wanted to live in this city. So being able to be here, I knew that from a marketing perspective, this is where I needed to be. So I moved here. I taught a little again at Medgar Evers College, an HBCU school in Brooklyn. I learned a tremendous amount. And then from there, I became the director of special events at Macy's. So some of the things that I really worked on, which I really enjoyed, and I really learned more about the fragrance industry, but more on the retail side, is being able to work on personal appearances with celebrities and bringing those to life. And one of the ones that I'll never forget is Rihanna when she launched her fragrance. She's like, I don't want to be in Manhattan. I want to be in Brooklyn. So that really taught me the importance of how you meet the consumer where they are and just how that resonated with the Brooklyn community, the Black community, the Caribbean community. It's been something that I'll never forget.
That's really, really cool. And I do want to come back to Rihanna and talk about the work around building, unique fragrance lines for celebs and entertainers and entrepreneurs as well. But just tell us about your day-to-day role at the Fragrance Foundation.
So my day-to-day role, and I have to say this is my 5th year anniversary. I'm so excited this week that the work that we've been doing, I head up all of our events, all of our education initiatives, as well as our give back programs. Right now, we just finished an amazing event last week, which really celebrated 4 years of our initiative, hashtag Fragrance Forward TFF, where we really talk about how do we make sure that this industry is truly diverse. So with that, we really started it first with the webinar that took place 3 years ago, and then we were able to bring it to life last week in person and really talk about where we've been and where we are. So that's one of the many things that I'm working on just finished working on. And I'm currently getting ready to start working on our big award show, which
Mhm.
takes place in June.
Wow. Tell us about the award show. Who comes to the award show?
So we have
Is it
a
something
lot
that's
of
streamed or we
celebrities.
can watch?
It's a lot of celebrities. It's at Lincoln Center, and it celebrates all of the artistry and a lot of our brands and members by with the award. And I actually have like our awards book from last year
How
here.
cool.
Yeah, so that's what we're working on right now.
That's really cool. Well, listen, like I said, for folks who may be like me, who know nothing about the fragrance industry, again, we're excited to be here with Sharné C. Jackson. She is executive director of the Fragrance Foundation, actually the first ever African American in this role. So, Sharné, in your role, you mentioned Rihanna. So, do you often work with celebrities or entertainers to bring their unique fragrance to life?
So actually, our members work directly with celebrities and entertainers, which would be our fragrance houses and our brands. What we do here at the Fragrance Foundation is once a fragrance is launched, we are able to uh, talk talk about it in social media. We have a newsletter that we can talk about it and really look to how do we get the word out about this new product.
Got it. Got it. That's really, really cool. Now, obviously, you're the first African American in this, really top executive role. So when you entered the fragrance industry overall, how many women looked like you in the fragrance industry?
Not a lot, not a lot at all, and that's why I'm a woman on a mission to really, and not just me, but this whole organization. When I started this role, and I have to give a big shout out to the president of the organization, Linda Levy. When she brought me on, we talked about it. We talked about the importance of how are we bringing diversity into the fragrance foundation or the fragrance industry period to really make sure that the industry reflects the USA population, which means Black and Brown people, LGBTQ plus, and the work that we've done thus far, I couldn't be prouder of.
That's exciting. That's really, really exciting. Well, and shout out to your CEO as well. That's really exciting that she's also embraced the work that you're doing to make sure that there are people like us who are in these roles. Tell us when you decided to turn your professional journey into a purpose to help recruit more minorities, particularly HBCU students, into the fragrance industry.
So I think that's been embedded in me. I think that's something I live by: too much is given, much is required. So I know the importance of being a Black woman and how to provide opportunities, that it's all about access and opportunities. So I've been always very active at Spelman, going back to talk about what I'm doing in career as well as at other schools. But that really segues into the importance of the initiative that I started here at the Fragrance Foundation, which is sense of success. So when I got into this industry and just talking to members in general,
Mhm.
people often say, "How did you get in the industry? Did you know that there was this role?" And a lot of people, as we talked earlier, have varied backgrounds. So I started this initiative 4 years at Spelman, and the importance of people seeing people that look like them, that they're like, I can do this too. So
Mhm.
going back to Spelman and talking about the roles that are available in this amazing industry. And since then, I've been on this journey and I've met like other Spelmanites that are also in the industry. And it's like, oh, you're in this industry too. I had no idea. I think one of the proudest moments I had was last year when I was able to go back to Spelman College with two founders that are also Spelmanites, with Brown Girl Jane, and to be in that audience and to sit and talk about our journeys and where we are and what's possible. And then for an industry that young people might not have thought that they were able to be part of, that they are able to be part of it. So we do a lot of work. We have more work to do. And that's why I love being on a show like this today. So I think it's really important for people to see what's possible.
Love it. Listen, we're all about our audience as well, seeing what's possible. Shout out to Brown Girl Jane, as well. I believe Ty over that
It's me
over
and
that line.
Malika Jones. And actually, I got to give a little plug.
Hmm.
There it
Oh,
is.
what is it? Tell us what you have.
This one is Carousel, and this one just came out last month. So
Nice.
yeah, in their news collection. So they're doing really well. I'm so
I
happy.
love to see it. Not only you're promoting other younger people getting to the industry, but established entrepreneurs as well. You are literally using and promoting their products. That's a big deal. And
And yeah,
Belmanites.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna, like, because my father went to FAMU. I have to call out Terry Johnson with Harlem Perfume Company, is also one of our members and just doing a lot of work. So there she is.
Terry Harlem Perfume Company. That's awesome. Listen, and I would love to. I'd love to stay connected, Sharné. I think would be really interesting is for our audience to kind of have a list of some of these Black-owned fragrance and beauty brands that either are members of the foundation or that personally you recommend as well. I think that'd be really cool to
Yeah,
see.
and there's a lot, and that's something else that I'm really proud of, the work that we're doing in terms of it growing and really making sure that small businesses are represented. There's a committee here that's headed up by Chris Collins, who has a African American man who has a luxury line, that he heads up a committee for entrepreneurs that are our members, and just growing and within the foundation providing more membership for smaller brands, as well as mentoring and developing. And the big thing that we say here all the time is it's about, okay, once people, and even like within corporations, when you start working somewhere, you have to make sure that we celebrate. How are we celebrating people, and how is it something that we're doing that's sustainable? That what we're doing, it's not just a one and done. We continue to celebrate and making sure that the programs that we put in place are sustainable.
Love that. How are we celebrating people and making sure the programs are sustainable? That's a really big deal. Really big deal. Sharné, I wanted to go back to the Sense of Success program. Which HBCUs are you partnering with for this program?
So we've partnered with Spelman. We've also partnered with Howard University. And I'm proud to say for spring 2025, we will also be going to Morehouse College. We are going to be going to the HUC area to talk about, we're going to do an industry wide career fair. So it's something that we rolled out here in New York City at City College, which is located in Harlem. And we're going to do the same thing this spring, where we'll have panel discussions to talk about careers at fragrance houses, brands, and retailers, and what that looks like. And also, there'll be internship opportunities as well as entry level roles as well.
That's a big deal. And that's actually something I wanted to ask as well. Are the internship and job opportunities offered directly through the Fragrance Foundation and or with actually some of your member brands?
They're with our member brands, with our member brands. Although I'm very proud that this season, for the fall season and spring season, I do have an FIT scholarship recipient. We have a TFF DEI scholarship for cosmetics and fragrance, and I have an intern that's working very closely with me this season, which is
Well,
lovely.
congratulations. That's exciting. That's exciting for you and for the intern. That's really exciting. Well, something that we often do in classes in session, and because I'm often speaking to college students about, getting ready for their careers. For someone who's interested to do what you do, Sharné, what majors would you encourage them, to embark upon, or what types of classes should they take if they have interest in the fragrance industry?
I think just in general, a big thing is having great communication skills. So I'd say a liberal arts degree, English, business. They're just such a vast variety of roles, and being prepared. So I think thinking like big picture, as well as I say sometimes it's like the little things are the big things. And also, I like to tell young people that sometimes it's that little thing that you're building on that takes you to the next level. So don't take lightly the things that you've done as, well, I just did this. No, you did not just do that. You're building your foundation for where your next move is.
That's really helpful advice. It's not just something you did. Be proud of, like you said, celebrate your success, celebrate your win, no matter how big or small you think it is. It is a big deal for students to really be able to put that on their resume to advance in the industry. You're right. Very, very, very good advice. Sharné, you touched on it briefly earlier, but I think we need to celebrate your success. You were named Professor of the Year at Medgar Evers College. Let me find my tambourine to give you a congratulations and a salute there. Tell us again about the work that you do with Medgar Evers.
So the work that I did at Medgar Evers, again, when I think I talked about when I first moved to New York City, I taught us a marketing class, and in addition to that, I was also an advisor to the marketing club. So I worked hands on with the students. I think again, what I really try to illustrate within my life, as I've said earlier, too much is given, much is required. How do you give of yourself? And I think it's really important for students to see what they're learning and how they can apply it. So bringing that to life. So that was such an honor and unexpected. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you still hear from former students?
I do. I keep in touch with a lot of my former students,
That's
and
really exciting.
they're doing well, and that does my heart so well. It's
Love
just
to hear it. Love to hear it. Well, Sharné, you've touched on a little bit some things that hashtag Fragrance Forward TFF and Sense of Success have coming up for this fall, and also in early 2025. What other events, and the award show? What else can we expect from these
I,
programs and from your work?
I think the biggest thing that I'm really excited about, and we're starting the planning now, is we have a day. It's called Fragrance Day, and it's March 21st. So it's something that we celebrate nationally. There's activations in stores. We have events. There'll be like some online content that we're creating, and part of it was created because, there's a pizza day, but what about a fragrance day? And it really kicks off the spring season.
So tell us what that means. If we were to go to a local retailer, is there more of an emphasis on the different
And
types of
then
scents, or more scents released that date? Or
there are going to be a lot of launches that take place prior to and then during that time frame.
Awesome. March 21st is Fragrance Day. We're going to keep it in mind.
And there'll be more information on that on fragrance.org.
Fragrance.org. Okay, that's super helpful to know. That's super helpful to know. Well, Sharné, it's been super exciting to hear about your journey as a Spelmanite, a proud Spelmanite and third generation HBCU.
I gotta do a little plug.
Yes, ma'am. Is that your Spelman glass?
My Spelman glass.
I love it. I love it. I love that you're proud. It's been in your lineage, and what you're continuing to do in this work is inspire the next generation of young people at HBCUs who are interested in entering this industry and fragrance that you're in. And not only you're actually creating meaningful opportunities for them to do so. That's a really big deal.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, here at the Fragrance Foundation, and again, I have to quote my president, Linda, we will not stop. So each day, building on it, making sure that we're educating and reaching out to audience to say, we welcome you and we want to celebrate you.
I love that. I love that. Shout out to Linda. We will not stop. That's really important. That's really important. Well, that actually was my final question to ask you, Sharné. What are your daily words to live by? Like, what inspires you and motivates you each day?
I think a lot. What inspires me each day, one is the word gratitude. If you ask me what my theme song is, and particularly today, I'd say Jill Scott Golden and How to Be the Light.
Love that. Love that. Well, you are truly living your life like it's golden. You are taking your freedom. You're putting on the fragrance shelf behind you. You're putting it in your car. You're putting it at HBCUs. You're taking it to Harlem and talking to students about all types of career opportunities within the industry. So continue to shine in all that you're doing, Sharné.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Absolutely. We are delighted to have you. Again, we've been here chatting with Sharné C. Jackson. She's the first ever African-American executive director of the Fragrance Foundation, and she is creating opportunities through various programs to address the underrepresentation of people of color in the industry, starting with HBCU students. So she's a proud Spelmanite. We're honored to have her. So if you're watching this episode of Classes in Session, be sure to share this episode with family, friends, also fellow Spelmanites as well. And also stay posted for the latest and greatest content on Black Enterprise's social media channels. We have a host of other podcasts as well for you to check out, all centered around Black folks in business. So we're excited about that. And also stay posted for the latest and greatest digital content at blackenterprise.com. For this episode of Classes in Session, I'm your host, Ashley Stevens, and class is dismissed.